Mr. President, thank you. And I am pleased that we are at this point in time when we can actually start debate on the Keystone XL pipeline. We've had some good conversation on this floor as we have gone through procedural issues, and I appreciate that we have been able to avoid a midnight vote, that we were able to work agreement, and I thank my colleague and the ranking member, Senator Cantwell, for her assistance in getting us to this point where during the daylight hours we can begin debate on amendments that I think are particularly timely, particularly important to where we are today, from an economic perspective, from an energy perspective, from an energy security perspective, and Keystone XL fits in with that. I have in front of us the first amendment to the Keystone XL Pipeline, Senate Bill 1, and it is in the nature of a committee substitute. And what I will assure members is that the substitute that we have in front of us is almost a mirror image of the bill that we reported from the Energy Committee just last week. We reported it on a bipartisan basis. We had good discussion at that point in time, but we have in front of us that substitute amendment. But when you look to the amendment itself, it's pretty simple. We are truly talking about a two-page bill, a bill that is simple in content, a bill that is really very clear, very readable in terms of what it does and what it does not do. It's hardly 400 pages long. Again, it spans just over 2 pages. It's pretty wide font, pretty large margins. You can read it in a couple of minutes and better yet, understand it. And that's because the bill itself is very simple. What this measure does is approve the cross-border permit that is needed to construct the Keystone XL pipeline. And it does this with important provisions. It fully protects private property rights. It requires all state and local obligations be met, including those related to siting. There has been some discussion that somehow or other the Senate is engaging in routing, engaging in siting. This bill does not approve a pipeline route. We are not a planning board. Our bill only approves the pipeline's cross-border permit. And it only does that. It only does that because we have been waiting for some 6 years, 2,300 some odd days waiting for this cross-border permit. Some have suggested that this is somehow some big giveaway. There is no subsidy in this bill. It is not a giveaway. It doesn't evade any regulations. It does not preempt any environmental study. It will not cost taxpayers a single dollar. Again, I would encourage my colleagues, look critically at the language of this bill. What this authorizes is that cross-border permit. There's been a lot of discussion about the jobs created and the environmental pros and cons on both sides. We've had good, strong debate already just as we have moved through the procedural process of this. But what I think is important for us as a body to appreciate is the point that we are at now, the point where we as members can take this simple, straightforward bill and offer up amendments that we believe would make it better or enhance it. And so as we go forward in these days, I am encouraging members on both sides, bring your amendments forward. Let's have the give and take, the back and forth that this Senate was once so famous for. I've been asked, well, how are you going to handle amendments on the floor? Is it going to be a situation where the majority determines what the minority will introduce, what we will have an opportunity to debate and decide? That's not how we are handling that. That majority leader has promised a full debate. Now, he's also gone so far as to say it's not unlimited. We're not going to be on this for months. But we are going to give members an opportunity to speak to the issue of the day, the issues of the day that are so important to our nation's economy. And Mr. President, you come from an energy-producing state, as do I. We know the significance of the jobs that come to our states and our local economies. We know the independence that comes when you are not reliant on others, particularly others who wish you ill, for a resource that powers your country, that allows you to be great. We can see it firsthand. But we're seeing the benefits of good energy throughout the entire country. So why would we not want to allow for a piece of infrastructure, because that's what a pipeline is, a piece of infrastructure to cross a border from our closest friend and ally in Canada, moving a product to our refineries in the Gulf Coast, where they are set up to handle this type of crude oil. There's been a lot of discussion that this is just going to be a transference of oil from the north in Canada through the United States and out the other end. But I think if you look to the facts that are laid out in the State Department's report, in their environmental assessment, you appreciate the fact that it makes no sense to use the United States just as a conduit when our refineries, those refineries that are designed to handle the heavy crude, will be in a position to refine that crude for our benefit here in this country, and for those in Canada who are looking to, again, move their product. What we're effectively going to be able to do here, Mr. President, is replace what we are currently receiving from Venezuela, which provides us with that heavy crude currently, which we refine in the Gulf Coast areas in those refineries. We'll be able to replace that with oil from our friend and ally, Canada. I don't know about you, but I'd much rather have a tighter relationship with Canada than I would with Venezuela. So, again, the benefits, the merits of this legislation are very substantive. And the fact that we have been held back in the ability to advance this pipeline. Keep in mind, this is not a case of first impression. This is not the first pipeline that we have seen come across from the Canadian border. There are 19 cross-border pipelines currently operating today. So as we work to develop not only a relationship around our energy, I think it's important to recognize that the relationship that we have with our friends to the north is important as well. One of the things that we will see come forward here on the floor through the opportunity for robust debate and amendments is a discussion about the environmental aspects of the Keystone XL pipeline and the oil sands from which they stem. We'll have an opportunity to discuss the issue of export and the significance of our energy exports in terms of the benefits to our economy, trade perspective, balance of payments, the significance of that. The opportunities that we have in other areas related to energy efficiency. And I know my friend and colleague from Ohio wishes to speak to an amendment that he will introduce today. But This is a long time in coming for us to not only have the chance to talk energy, but the opportunity for us to vote on energy-related amendments. Mr. President, I have much that I want to relay and convey in response to some of the comments that have been made by colleagues on this floor in the past couple days. We will have an opportunity to speak directly to that. As was noted in the agreement, we will have this measure in front of us. We will put some amendments forward this afternoon. We will not be voting on any amendments today, nor will we be voting on any amendments on Friday, but we will have an opportunity for good, considered discussion on Friday and going into next week. And on behalf of the Majority Leader, I've been asked to announce that the next roll call vote will occur on Tuesday, January 20th. But what that allows us is an opportunity, again, beginning today, beginning now, to encourage members to come forward with their amendments, and based on the agreement that we have outlined, 2 on the Republican side today, 2 on the Democratic side today, get those out there, get them on the table, get them up, let's talk about them. Have the opportunity on Friday to do more of the same, again on Tuesday, and then we can actually start moving through a process that I hope is good and robust and encouraging not only for the American public, who the vast majority of Americans are supportive of the Keystone XL pipeline. 60 to 70% of Americans believe that we should be doing this and should be doing this sooner than later. But I think it will be good for us here in the Senate to get back to a habit of advancing amendments, of allowing the floor managers to work together, to decide a process, to lay initiatives out, to have the back and forth, to take some tough votes. It's what we do, or it's what we should do, and to get back to what we know to be regular order. I want that to be a terminology that all members understand, instead of just some who have been around for more years than others. So to get back to a process feels pretty good today. So I'm pleased to begin with just that.